minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Off the limb. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Columbia, this is Houston, AOS, over.
Houston, Columbia on the high gate, over.
Roger, the EVA is progressing beautifully. They're setting up the flag now. I guess you're about the only person around that doesn't have TV coverage of the scene.
That's all right, I don't mind a bit.
They've got the flag up now, and you can see the stars and stripes on the limousine.
Are you getting a TV picture now, Houston?
Neil, yes, we are getting a TV picture. You're in our field of view now.
I'd like to evaluate the various paces that a person can traveling on the Earth's surface. You do have to be rather careful to keep track of where.
Now it's working. All right, guys, I'm in the background getting ready. This is not going to be a long one. So, but I wanted to wrap up the series and put it all into a final. So that's why it's called the RiteWing Vollocity 48 Limited Edition Build Finish. Or it was final. But anyways, I'm going to wrap up, show you what I did. I've got one more step I'm working on right now. And a couple of people were asking me via IM, can they build watching this series that I've posted? The answer is yes, you can. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. And so, again, this is going to be probably only like a half hour. Not long, because I'm literally at the end. And getting ready for CFL. Woohoo! So, look for the timer. I'm going to start here in just probably about a minute. Oh, no phone line, even though it says we have a phone line. Something is wrong with the phone line. I have to figure it out. Chat's open, though.
you tell a dream field on a cold steel rail, a smile from a veil. Do you think you can tell? Did they get you to trade your heroes for gold? Hot ash trees, hot air from a cool breeze, cold comfort change. Did you exchange a walk-on part in the wall for a lead role in a cage? How I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year, running over the same old ground. Have we found the same old fear? Wish you were here.
What up, everybody? We got a fair amount of you in here. Welcome. Guess what? I got to cue the song, otherwise it's not going to work. I got to get in the mood. It's weird. Doing this show for this long now, I got to have some certain noises in my head. Otherwise, I can't do it. I just can't. Anyways, not happening. Decline. How many of those do you get in a fucking day? You can't call me. You can't call me. Anyways, back here again. It's me, Shelby Voll. I'm your host for this last final installment of my build series for their RiteWing Vollocity 48 limited edition. Blah, 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 blah. Sound good? Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So, along this way, we have this will be the 7th installment. Holy shit, that's a lot. But, anyways, I said I was going to keep these short and sweet. I think the last one went like 2 hours. I did not want to do that, so I tend to get a little wrapped up when I'm building. Like I said before in the last one, I get really hyper-focused. I think it's like the ADHD in me or whatever. And then I'll go and go and go. So I had to diligently like stop because I have other shit I got to do. I'm a husband. I got kids. I got grandkids, whatever. And I got a job. So I got to do all that stuff and squeeze all this in. This isn't like the past where I just had like hours and hours and hours, days and days and days, and I could just do shit. It's a little different these days. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and wrap this series up. Yeah, I know. It's long. It's going to be a short one. It's going to be like 30, maybe 40 minutes tops. And because I'm working on the fencing. So all the fins, winglets, whatever the fuck you want to call them, everything, vert stabs, all that stuff that we on the right wing usually comes with. At least in the hardcore series line, including the Vollocity 48, all has this. And I wanted to make sure you guys pay attention to some things when you're doing these, this whole, I just call it fencing, for lack of a better term, to make sure that you do it right. Because if you don't do it right, some things will happen that will create really a negative experience of flying a right wing. So the key that I can give to you about right wing products, precision. Like, things are cut the way they're cut, and you got to pay attention to detail. You can miss a step in one thing, and it could change the way it flies. So, for instance, me over here doing this Vollocity 48, I mean, for Christ's sake, it has my name on it. I should know how to build it. But even I make mistakes. Fucking human. The fencing I'm going to show you, because I saved one part left. So I've already done, the stuff's in the oven, as Marty likes to say, and it's all curing. So all the rest of the fencing is done, including the big main verts. And I want to show you the process, what I use, and what's recommended to do it. And like I said before, if you don't do it right, it could change the way the frame will fly. It won't get it quite as locked in feeling if you don't do it right. Now, that being said, let me preface this when we go over to my kitchen and I show you everything. Where I made a boo-boo was I didn't pay attention, and I'm going to show you that which certain fins go where. And I put a couple of them on the top where they should have been on the bottom. I don't really think it's going to kill the frame at all, because I have an example. Only I killed the frame. This Gallagher's frame is actually what I used as a template to do the fencing. He did it the same way I did it. Now, the way I have to say it is, I talked to Chris about it. Chris pointed it out to me. He's like, hey, you kind of screwed it up a little bit. It's not detrimental or anything, but you might get a wag. So there's my point. You might get in it, if you don't do these things right, here's one case that I might get an inherent wag because the fencing was developed precision to be a certain way, and you just got to pay attention to it, and I'll show you in a minute. But what I'm going to say is, proof's in the pudding, like I always say. The videos I put out with that frame right there, the Gallagher built, with the fencing the way it is on that, which I've duplicated onto this one, I want it to fly like that again. Because I didn't have any wag, I didn't have anything. Go back, watch. That was awesome. That flew better than, I want to say, the version 1, and I'm going to test that to foam. But I want to check and see if I fenced it the same way. So what I'm getting at is right here. I actually have an example. So we're going to be talking about putting all this stuff over here. But Belinda's much better at this shit than I am. So all this stuff right here in the main one right there. Even on the proto, I say the proto? Yeah, I guess it was prototype. We only had one on top and a little one on the bottom. So over time, it's changed. And believe me, that one flew great. The first one, the all black one, the black unicorn, as Squatch FPV likes to call it. There's only a few of them in existence. It's a different flow, without a doubt. And there's some videos of that. A couple years ago, I did it when this first came out, or we were doing the prototypes, or whatever you want to call it. You can watch the difference in the footy. And the footy explained, like I said, that's proof. It flies so much better on this version, which I just showed you, that pink and blue one. But the one back there, everybody that's held this frame so far that's been in the drone hangar has all said it on their own. Holy shit, or wow, or oh my god, this is going to fly amazing, or it's going to fly on a rail. So, and that's what I think. So I can't wait. So there you go. There's a preface to everything. Let's see who's in the chatty Cathy land. I like to do that before I go to do anything. Because without you guys, I really wouldn't do this. Neither would Marty and the rest of the gang. We speak for all of them. So we'll give you an applause. Let me go ahead and tune in. And we can see the frame now here. Hold on. There's chatty Cathy. We got a couple. Let's see some usual faces. Say, Chris, still not done? No, I'm done. We're right there. And here she sits in her final stage. Cocklets, says Andre. Oh, those are the size you need right there, bud, to represent your cocklets. Anyways, and I'm talking about the little teeny ones. For you. Anyways, I had to give myself a laugh on that one. There it says right there on my rolling scroll. 2 days until CFL FPV, baby. And that's where I can do that. That's where all the fun's gonna happen. That's the kickoff for the entire. Well, a lot of us do treat it as the kickoff for the whole FPV season, and it is gonna be so much fun. And that's in 2 days, so I can't wait for that. Thanks Zach, thanks Doug. They've been on the show. They talked about it. So this will be my last. Awesome. This will be my last live until I get to the event. If those who've been following this vid, and if you see this in the future, and you feel like you want us to go live while we're there, let us know. Send us a message, tag us, whatever. Put it in the chats or in the chat at Cathyland. We'll read it, and we'll do it. To get enough people that want to see it, we'll do it live from CFL. And I'm thinking probably nighttime, probably 2 times. A day run and a night, because you got to see both. You can't just see one. Like, you got to see the nighttime as well. But if you only get the nighttime, I'm going to be saying, damn it, you got to see the daytime, because there's so much. So I'm really excited about it. This is going to be the first time where I'm only bringing one frame. So this is all my marbles, all my eggs in one basket, sit atop of that table. And I've taken my time on this one. And, of course, I make no blemishes. I am not a master builder. I am not claiming that by any stretch of the imagination. I have built my fair share of frames. Believe me, all of them pretty much wings. And over time, how many years this has been, 8, 9. So, but there are people who have an immense amount more knowledge than I do. But I'm giving you the tricks that I've learned, taught myself, figured along the way. Plus, a lot of these are tips from what I call master builders. And there you go. So use all these, because that's where I'm at my current game of building. So if you can duplicate what I've done up there, I think you're going to be quite happy. Especially if you get any one of these Vollocity 48s. Build it like we've done up here, minus the little tweaks and changes I've told you about, which is exactly right up top there. We're going to talk about the fencing. I've already installed the 2 main ones, if you will, and it's the same exact method of gluing. So what I use, and I'm going to go ahead and switch over here in just a sec, is Starbond, and then I use E6000. And it's really simple, and as long as you take the time and do the cuts right, you're going to be good to go. So let me go ahead and switch. Keep the phone. I'll bring the phone over there, because I think last time we did this, I was able to read your messages. So we'll do that. Give me a sec. Sorry, a little cable management on this part. I forgot to. There's one last part. All right, now we're good. Go ahead and over there. All right, I think you can hear me. Hold on. Tell you what, it's crazy doing all this shit by yourself. And then you have a lot more respect for all the rest of the gang members. Or I have a lot more respect for the gang members, because they all help out one way or another to get the show done. Believe it or not, it's a group affair. We try. We really do try. We're just, we're not production crew. So, anyways, here we are. Here we sit. Yay. I can still do my applause over here like an idiot. But this is going to be short and sweet. I got a lot of shit to do. If you can't see, well, you can't see. Over there is a table or a chair full of brakes and rotors. Not rotor range, but I got to do brakes before I go to CFL. So let me go ahead and queue up the video so I can see any messages that you guys might have. If you want to send me a private message, feel free to go ahead and do that at Shelby Voll on Facebook. If you feel like you want to do that, I'll see that. It pops up on my phone no matter what. And hold on. Yeah, we got up to double digits. That's pretty cool. Thanks for all of you guys tuning in. I know it's like right around lunch around the country, so what a better time to shoot the shit with Shelby. Hey, we should call that a segment. I'm going to have like 15 shows if I keep naming shit. All right, moving on. So they're not really saying anything. So the biggest thing right here, I'm going to slide this over. Just want it to be over that way. And see if I can bring it down here. Okay, this is going to be good enough. So these are not in yet because I left the last two because it'll explain everything. When you get this build, and if you're watching this in the future and you're building a Vollocity 48 or any hardcore series, but we're mainly talking about right now the 48, okay? The Vollocity 48. You'll come with 4 of these bigger ones. Hopefully this is queued up right and it's not blurring. Yeah, it looks good. You'll get 4 of these bigger ones, and then you'll get 4 of these thinner ones, if you will. And they're actually about the same distance. They actually are. Somewhat. But anyways, there's a difference. But here's the main thing. On the glossy side of these fins are some notch marks. Because what happens is these 4 big ones go on the top. And these 4 thinner ones, slender ones, I guess, these all go on the bottom. And I can't see if it has a B on there. I think it does. And so I would assume the B means bottom. So anyways, this is what Chris was calling me about. And he was like, hey, man, you kind of jacked up the fins a little bit. You put the, it's supposed to be all 4 big ones on the top, the slender ones on the bottom. And there's a little notch on all 4 of them, but just pick 2 and cut them. I think cut all of them. But anyways, that's what he said. That's what I gathered. So makes sense. Bidwell, I think, in the RiteWing Nation, he's building one of these as well. He's coming to CFL as well. He did it the proper way, so amen to that. What I'm just saying is, even though we flubbed it and I didn't really notice the difference yet, I don't think anybody has, because I think I'm the only one that has flown them the way I've set them right here. Just go back and look at the footage and see how it flies. Because that shit flies on a rail. It flies amazing. And I had no wag. And I flew in some windy conditions, but I knew already I'm not going to be flying this in 15 to 20 mile an hour winds. It's not worth doing that. Any day like that, it's shitty. So, you're just practicing on that day. But when it came to freestyle, the air was, in a more manageable speed, 5 to 10s, that thing flew amazing. Flew on a rail. I mean, everybody that saw a line of sight was just like, wow. Paint scheme was really cool. Gallagher really did a great build, but the fencing was great. And I don't know, maybe it's just something, again, I never question Click when it comes to building, because every time I have along our journey together as a sponsorship, now as friends, he explains why, and then you're always dumbfounded, and you're like, oh, shit, I never thought about that. I never thought about that. So he's really gone down to the detail, including down why these are cut the way they're cut. And there's some other people that do make these kind of wraparound fencing on the wing that I know Blitzkrieg has been doing it a lot for the past, couple years now, and really worked on that and developed some more alternative style of fencing for other frames and had tremendous success. So these things really do work. And now you can't run fencing in spec class, but you can run it in sport class. So this is really cool. So moving on. So when you get these, just pay attention to that. That's a crucial thing. So all 4 big ones go on the top, thin ones go on the bottom, and you're good to go. Now, the one thing I found, and I'm sure I'm going to get corrected on this again, but either way, I trimmed. So when they came, I did not trim these, but these came really long. Now, of course, because they were probably set for the bottom, but either way, including Gallagher, we all have clipped them, trimmed them, to pretty much go almost to the back trailing edge. And I'll show you that here in a second. But either way, you're going to be fine. But if you want to do it 100% accurate, 4 big ones on the top, slender ones on the bottom. All right. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is going to prep... I use some Starbond to do this. There's no way I'm out of it. I just filled this thing. Hold on a second. Well, damn, cut myself. Sucks. But anyways, hey, this stuff will turn into a damn razor blade, and I didn't realize it, and I went to go rip it off, and I cut myself. So hold on. This is from my medic days when I was a combat medic in the Army. I can tell you this. You can use CA glue as an emergency, like, stitch. Just gonna make sure you fold the skin back in place, tack it down on one side of your cut, and I can't do that, otherwise it'll restrict my video. And you just take it and you smear it across real fast. Bam, done. Let it sit for a minute, let it air dry, and you're done. It won't bleed anymore. And then just later on down the road, clean up a little bit when you get home, you'll be fine. You're not gonna die. So when if it's really bad, just leave it, and it will heal itself. Okay, back to where we were. Let's make sure this blood does stop, which it is. I use Starbond, so I use it mainly as a tacking method. So even without an accelerant, this stuff will dry relatively quickly, maybe, I don't know, 5-10 minutes or so, maybe a little longer. But so you need Starbond or any other CA glue, or you can tack it with hot glue if you so choose. Depending on how well it sits down, you want some T-pins. So I always have these. I've had these for same T-pins for years now. Alexa, volume 3. All right, probably turned everybody's Alexa. Turn on TV. No, it actually does that. If you ever found that out, if you listen to something loud enough and you do have Alexa, someone says it on the TV, it'll actually cue your Alexa. All right, moving on. So we need this. You need a nice, good razor blade that's sharp. And I've already done the pre-cuts, but and then you need your E6000. As you see, I bought this tube for this build, and I'm already well past half. So there you go. You're going to use a tube for a build. Now again, you would be using all 4 of these on the top, and these 4 would be on the bottom. The biggest thing here is when you cut, when you have already laminated, you will, and then, so when you 3M it and all that, all the processes that we did before, it sometimes gets a little bit hard to see where the pre-cuts are. It's even harder on the white ones I found. So the gray one wasn't too bad. You'll see where he's kind of laser cut 2 little spots on the frame where the teeth of the fin will go ahead and drop into. And you take a razor blade, because you've now covered it with laminate, and you go ahead and you got to make a straight cut. You got to make a straight. That's the biggest thing I can tell you. You got to make a straight cut. Don't make a shitty cut. Don't make at an angle or anything like that, because if you do that, when these go and slide in, because you want them to fit in nice the first time, that's why I'm going to keep going in and out. What I have found in time, that if you do a nice cut, then when they drop in, they won't bend. You don't want any of this bowing right here. And therefore, if your cut's at an angle, when you drop it in, it will twist over like this. And then you'll go and pull it out, and you'll cut it again, and it'll twist, and then it's all sloppy. So if you do a nice, precise cut right at the first cut, these will drop right in. And you got to make sure about the width of this tooth. Just about, not quite. You want it to notch in just a little bit. I like, for me, because I want it to snag right at the end and just kind of help me hold it down a little bit. Because once you've glued it, and we'll get to that next, I'll show you what's next with the T-pin. So I'm going to go ahead and put the glue in, CA glue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up the hole here and here, and then I'm going to run a bead. I'm going to run a bead of it all the way down over top of the laminate. Because this stuff doesn't insta-dry, because it's a thick, thickness, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, medium. You got a little time, so you're gonna eyeball the rest right here. You don't have to be like super absolutely precise, but you do want to get it all the way to tip to end. So tip to tip, you will absolutely want some adhesive on it. clearing off any of the excess. Perfect. Now, when I mean perfect straight, this is what I mean, yes, according to the airflow. And I want it to be straight down. Sometimes you'll cant it, you know, toe it in or toe it out, just going to tire. Do the same thing on your cuts. So pay attention to your cut, and especially, so I say, use a sharp, brand new razor when you're making these cuts. Get one of these that break off, just cheap at the dollar store, or if you're overseas, because a lot of you guys right now over in Europe, I don't know if you have what we call a dollar store here, like in the U.S. You know, I don't know if it's a €1 store, but either way, get these, snap them off, get them at Amazon, dollar store. Anyways, keep breaking them off, keep using them. Because these cuts, especially on here, and this foam really needs a sharp, sharp razor. All right, so I don't need to sit here and let it sit forever. I just want to make sure that it's down, pressed down, and the base right here, okay, is actually going with the airfoil. That's why that cut needs to be deep enough the first time. It's perfectly straight, and then I look on the bottom, because I'm at this stage of the game. I don't know if I can show it. I'm going to try my best. But you're going to look in the top. Here's the top, and I'll look in the bottom. I'm going to see that I want to make sure they're perfect. They're symmetrical. They're lined up right. They're creating a nice straight fence. And they are. Little twist right here. And that's where the T-pins are going to come and help. The little tips in the rear. The front tip and the rear tip tend to kind of slide out a little bit. So those T-pins are going to help. Before we get to that, we need to put the E6000 down. So here you go. Make sure you beat it up here, get it to the top, then unscrew it. Make sure you check your nozzle and make sure you don't have any little leftover from a previous run. If you've done it with the E6000, you'll get gummy. Anyway, so there's one bead, one side. So what I do is I squeeze. If you've ever done caulking before or anything like tiles, same premise. Squeeze, and as it comes out, then you move. You move as slow as it comes out. Does that make sense? So I squeeze, it's coming out. That's as slow as I'm moving it. And then it'll lay a nice bead, but we're going to go over the bead in a minute. Sure the front tip and rear tip they've got that adhesive, both the Star Bond and the E6000. Yeah, I don't have to keep screwing with it and bending and banging on the fence or the fin. I don't need to keep doing that. That's why that cut is so crucial, because if it sits down like this, then I don't have to keep tweaking it. All I need to do is do what I've done so far. Now, once you've laid the bead of E6000 on the front and rear and the tips, right and left in the tips. Take your finger and make sure it's cleaned off. Just wipe it off. The contour of your finger is going to fill in that void right here, right in that little part right there. It's going to be right there. It's going to create a nice little seam. Just get it on there and get it off. Like nice little pressure. Sweep off. Don't dick around with it all day. And here's the other thing. This is, again, like that cut. This is a one-shot deal. Don't go back and do it again. Because as time goes along with this stuff right here, it's already getting tacky. So E6000, you don't have a lot of time. So get it on, do what you need to do, and be done with it. All right, finishing touches right here if you need them. Sometimes you don't need them. Go ahead and tack them down the back and the front tip if it needs it, to keep the whole entire tips lined up straight, because this cannot be bent around. This has got to be straight. You got to do it all eyeball. to do anything on this one. That's right here. So remember when we did that? We did a B to that CA, aka Starbond. It's like C. Anyways, it's the what you do. What it will do, because it's a thick. If you need to pop it a little bit, that's fine. You can go ahead and readjust if you need to, a little bit. Like on what I'm talking about is the ends, the tips right here. So if you need to bend it a little bit and tweak it, sometimes it will be off. And I just had to do the rear part just a little bit, and it popped loose and then reset because that thick Starbond underneath hasn't quite completely cured, obviously, because we just put a beat up E6000 over it. It's going to take forever, but therefore it will re-adhere to the frame, so you're fine. And it was very minuscule, but I try to be very precise about my fencing, believe it or not. Okay, so now that's it. Give you a little look-see. Hopefully you can see that. So there is how you put, and that's the final result. Rubbing alcohol is your friend when you are done. Rubbing alcohol. Help get all this acetone, get it all off. All the little leftover fumes and gases, it'll clean it all up. But you're gonna get a nice little bead right there, a nice seam. It's locking that whole fin down, and it's lined perfectly with the top and the bottom now. So top, bottom. Now, because I still have to do other parts, like I didn't finish my winglets, true winglets. The way I did that was, on my winglets, I used hot glue opposed to using the CA glue on here. I just used hot glue because I needed it to be in place longer because it's a little bit of a harder spot to get. So that hot glue will really start to dry, but it was just a thin layer. Tacked it down with that, and then put some E6000 on it. This is dried from last night. This is what it will look like when it's finished. Nice. Those fins are nice and locked in. Tips up a little bit on this one, but the actual adhesive right here is filling the void. I'm cool with that. Looks straight. These things are in solid. They are not. It's gonna take a lot for them to come out. The mains. Now the main one I fudged up, and I did not run my finger there, so it's not quite as good. It's not quite as sexy versus the other side, which it is. And same, I think this whole side and this side is sure. Yes, this side is where I forgot. It's been a while since I've done a build to run my finger across on these fences over here, and therefore it just doesn't look as good, but it does the job for sure. What else did I have done? So those of you who didn't follow in the build, in here is going to be, we did all this the other day. I didn't point this out. Motors on here. This is an 1140 2826. Runs a 9x6 on a 4S. Going to be running in a 60 amp Spectrum the Smart Tech, all the new Smart Tech receiver, and Spectrums, which I've always been running this VTX variable with all the race bands and everything else. And then I'm not going to be able. I'm going to test it. We're going to get back to fencing. Hold on, just figuring we're right here. We can go ahead and do this real quick. I'm going to be running these. These actually fit amazing in here. 3200, 100C, 4S packs. Talk to Tom. I'm gonna get a whole bunch more sent to me, and I'm gonna run these and see how it performs. It's a little on the lighter side. The form factor is a little bit smaller, but you get a little more punch. You know, something to work with. And I love the fact that all the technology's there, where I'm gonna actually basically have a dyno on my batteries, which I think is simply amazing. Nothing else is really out like that. All right, hold on. Yeah, talked about the motor. This motor actually came off the original Vollocity 48, the black one, the black unicorn. And it's a good motor. It's great for freestyle. It's definitely not a racing motor by any stretch of the imagination. But it's torquey, and I like the torque. So I love, it's just like cars. I like torquey, low end, 278, whatever, torque. But moving forward, as I sit here and babble, 5.8, I'm running that, especially because we're at the event. 5.8, because we're not going far. Alex's stuff right here, the Ion V2, I think this is. And there you go. That's what the final product looks like. And then the last thing I have to do is put on these linkages right here, on my elevons, and that's it. Oh, my camera. And then I'm done. You guys know how to do all that. That's not worth my time to sit here and show you how to do this, because if you don't know how to put all the hardware on, you shouldn't be building RiteWing right now. So, what did I think I told you guys servos, all that the other day, so I'm not going to do that again. Let's do this last one right here. You're going to let this stuff dry overnight. Now, you can go ahead and manipulate it you want a couple hours later. You can, in 45 minutes or so, this stuff's going to get tacky enough where you can kind of, still work on the frame if you needed to, but you shouldn't be doing this until you're really, completely finished. Me working on it right now, I should really just wait, because I need to put the hardware on, but even if I don't get that because I'm going to CFL to maiden this, I can get that done when I get there, so I'm not really pressed about that. All right, so moving forward, let's go ahead and do this again. Same thing. We're going to, of course, use the big one, which you should be using on the top, but we're going to use it on the bottom. But anyways, fill up the 2 holes, put a bead down. Swerved there a little bit. That's all right. You can use a straight edge if you wanted to be, that completely anal. It's not completely seated yet. Backed off. I did it on the other one. I backed off. I looked at it. Then I pressed down. Right over the teeth. Nice and firm. Get it done. Knew it. So this is my point. On here, I'm just off by a couple degrees. I mean a couple. On my cut that I did on the front tip, the front tooth. And I saw when I was, damn it, but there's nothing you can do other than what I showed you earlier, which I'm going to need now, which is a T-pin. I'm going to go ahead and line it up before this gets real tacky and get it set. Now I'm for sure going to let this one sit overnight. That's there. It's set now. Only need 1 T-pin. Now this is, I guess Gallagher and I could have figured this one out too, but we didn't. There is a gap right here, and had I not just gone and copied what Gallagher did and just immediately went at it, if I had sat here and actually put the fencing up and tested everything and kind of looked at it, I would have seen this error, which is there is a noticeable gap. So make sure you're using the small slender ones down on the bottom and all 4 big ones on top, and make sure you at least trim 2 of them on that little slit, pre-cut slit that Click installs. There you go, done with that. So we've already tacked it down. I've done the CA glue. I got, like again, I showed you the error with that little cut wrong. Twisted it right here on the tip, just the tip. The tooth moved it over a little bit. You don't want that. That will change the way it flies. That will bring a wag. Don't want to screw with it. It's set. So my point is, on this one, that this E6000 actually fills in the void that's created because it's not truly following the frame. And that's fine. It does the job, and I'm telling you, it still flies amazing. I cannot wait to fly this one. I'm gonna have such a great time chilling and just get in my zone, even though we're gonna be flying at one field, around and around. But it's with everybody, which is really cool. You only get to that once or twice a year. All the great top pilots, and then do formation flying. That stuff's really fun. Take your time, one side at a time. Don't rush. Always make sure you, and I don't always do it, but it's just a reminder, cap these. Otherwise, all that pressure you put on there, and even when you're done, you set it down, it'll ooze out. You have to use a T-pin and tag it down before you do this E6000, which is what I had to do. Got to get up in there and make sure you got to work around that T-pin. So set it up where you can work that nozzle around the T-pin. So that's why it's up here a little bit. Talking about the actual top of the T. All right, pick a clean finger. It's clean. Normally I use my pinky, but it's cut. Yes, that sounded bad. So you notice I had to get underneath that T-pin. Like I said before, it's a one-shot deal. I'm done. Can't go back. But man, does it make an amazing seam and seals it up. It really does. Like I've already seen over here, the one we just did a few minutes ago. Looks amazing. All right, so this one right here, it's gonna be a little iffy. When you put this down, this T-pin, you try to keep a gap. You try to angle it so that you can get the E6000 underneath the pin. But you're using the top of the pin, right? It's kind of like a top of the pin to push on it. On the fin, you're pushing on with T-pin, and you're creating a hole right there so the E6000 can go underneath it, because you're gonna have to pull this out in a minute, later on. You don't have to. Gonna probably pull this one within an hour or later on tonight, because I need to keep moving on it. So gotta let it sit for a couple hours so that at least the other adhesive starts curing really hard, which is the star bond. All right, let's do the other side. Oh, that's really cool. It really makes a great bond. The E6000, here's the other good thing about E6000. I don't use it that often, but when I do it, I'm always reminded about a couple of attributes that it has. One of which is if you need to take this stuff off, you can. The E6000 will turn into like a rubbery substance, and you can peel it off. You just grab one end and just kind of yank it all off. CA glue, you can get it off with acetone. So you get under there and just put some, rubbing alcohol underneath there, like fingernail polish remover. Get under there and just drop some drops down there, and it'll pop itself off. Very rarely have I ever broken a winglet, any of the fencing, and very rarely have I ever had to replace them. So I've chipped a couple of them, but it's good material that lasts. I've landed this shit on streets. Let's look at the one I've flown a ton on the street. This one, it's gonna take. If you're landing on the street, try not to. Do your best not to. Prefer to land in the grass, and I did a lot, but you'll start skidding up the bottoms here and ripping them up. You know me, man. I freestyle, so I go hard, and I like the thrill of doing it, and then I like to share the video out and show you, hey, check out the E6000, I think, and or it might be hot glue, but either way, good build, solid. This feels so much better. I'm telling you, this fucking limited edition one is crazy. Nose piece. Here's what I use. Rotor Ranch sent me a couple of these when he was starting out his 3D printer and everything. He sent me a whole bunch of missed ones that didn't work well, but these have been pretty great. So this held a session 5 in your standard FPV camera. Works great. Cut it, bam, slam it in, nothing to it. When you do these and you install one of these, and I suggest you do, if you do it this way, you can put one 3700 in here, a session 5 in the front, bing, bang, boom, you're done. You will be on CG, I'm telling you. Well, if you use a tattoo. And just drop your shit in the rear. You're going to check, but you're going to be pretty damn close. If not, run two 3700s in here, no HD cam, and you'll be set. I lost my train of thought. Actually, I need to do the bottoms here. Oh, actually, I did. Okay. My winglets I didn't do. Same thing, doesn't change. So we did the winglets. I think that's what we were talking about before. Hot glue there, same thing. Putting the E6000 down. I'm going to go ahead and run it. Now, pick your finger what you're going to use, because if you use the pinky on one side, you use the pinky on the other side. You do these if you want. I'm just telling you it gets that detailed. But finger you want to use, wipe across, get it off. Permanent rag somewhere after all these years. There you go. It's man, it makes such a clean glue line. I don't know if you guys can see that in the camera or not, but there's your final. Almost, right? 95%. All I gotta just do is camera and linkages. That's it. That's another 30 minutes worth of work, but believe it or not, I don't have all that time. I got to move on because I got to change hats and go from building FPV gear to putting on my mechanic hat and go change brakes on a Kia Soul. It's not the end of the world, but nonetheless, I got to do it. To recap, this doesn't take that long. What I like to do is do one side at a time because this stuff needs to dry overnight. When I commit to doing this fencing, I want to do one half, flip it over to the other half, and leave it alone. Because then it's solid. Then they stay. They don't end up screwing around. Because if you just do it all at one time and then like get bumped around, and it's really hard to do both sides because you gotta let this stuff tack up and dry. But whatever, do it your way. Do it one side, come back a few hours later, you can do the other theoretically. So on this part right here, E6000 right here. It's a Starbond thick, no accelerant. We didn't use any accelerant on this build, I don't think, except for tacking one of the bay covers. And there you go. There she sits. She looks really, really nice. She is going to fly amazing. That's it. Same thing right here. You can see how much the difference right here if you don't run it, the line that it leaves. It's just, nah. It's not as smooth. The air won't flow over it as smooth. But if you're getting to that kind of detail, I mean, come on. Then again, there I go, doubting Chris. All this stuff does matter. But these fences look great. They just wrap around perfectly on each side. No toning out. Make sure that's not optical illusion. That last one is still curiously in the wrong angle. Nope, now she's good. Gotta check it. Yeah, this is gonna look great. This is gonna be so awesome to fly. I wish I had time to put some really what I'd like to do. And I like when I do LEDs, I like to be very simple. I like to put 2 up front, a couple headlights kind of idea, and then kind of an afterglow red in the back. And I like sticking them back here. It's really cool, makes an awesome look, especially for FPV, because it's not for me, it's for everybody else watching. Everyone is like, that really looks cool. I'm not going to do that right now. I don't have time. Maybe I get CFL, see if anybody's got some LEDs and we drop some in real quick. Maybe. But I would say this pretty much calls this the end of the build. So thanks. I'm going to go ahead and switch cameras, go over there, and leave this right here to dry. Flip it upside down. A little bit later. That's it. I call that a build. That FPV gear is easy. Just get a nose piece for the camera. If you choose not to, do old school. Cut a notch in this thing up on the top of the, imagine this is the top right here. Cut a little hole right here, drop the camera in there, and you're done. Which is about what I'm going to be. I'm going to try to see if I have a nose piece and yank it off of another frame. Like I said, I reuse everything. And then I'll use one, because there are ones that we use on spec wings that are just for the FPV camera, and you can, I just got to make sure it will fit this. That's the only thing. Other than that, I would yank one off and immediately stick it on here and just be done with it. That way my FPV camera's covered and protected, and I can still stick a GoPro on top if I use someone at CFLs. I can tape it down and do all that nonsense. But let me switch cameras. Nice roof. So I have to give some a laugh to Rue, and says Shelby will glue and tape anything. I don't know about that, son, but yes, I have been known to tape and glue a lot of frames on a constant to, the builds that you might be doing in your life, especially with Vollocity 48. A lot of this stuff can translate to really a lot of frames, especially gluing. Let's go over some couple. Lamination process. That can be applied to almost any fixed wing that you do this with. If you do any laminating. So any kind of wing, you could do the same thing. Same principle, break it up in thirds. Take your time. The longest process is laminating. So be very detailed about that. Get it as smooth as possible. Quality laminate is another key. Make sure you 3M90 it. Do all your prep work beforehand. Paint 3M90 before you paint. That was brought up. One of you guys asked me a question on that one. Always glue, then paint, not reverse. Because if you put the paint on and then you put the glue over it, you're just going to put this white snow over it. So it's the other way around. So it's glue, then paint, then laminate. And it will, when you do the lamination process, it will kind of mix together. And that's what you want. So that method can be applied to anything that's EPP or EPO almost. And on any of these builds that you do. Take the gluing methods that you will. When it comes to electronics and everything like that, on wings it's very simple. It is not complex. 2 servos, an ESC, and a motor. And then your FPV gear. That's it. If you're going to run a vector, you know how to do all this stuff. But anyways, she looks great. I think she looks like she's going to fly great. And as soon as I can get some HD camera on there, I will. I got to get another GoPro because I smashed the other one on the last 48. So I got to go get another one. As soon as I can get that done, or if I can use someone's at CFL for a couple flights to maybe get a freestyle run or 2, that'd be awesome. I would appreciate it. So if you guys are watching, let me know. Promise, saying it here on the air that if I damage your said GoPro, I will pay for it and get you another one there. Meaning while we're there, you don't have to wait. We just go to find a Best Buy. But I was just saying I don't want to go and do all that right now. I don't have time. And I don't want to be buying them at 8. So if you got something on the lower end, like Session 5, then I will hear that warranty. But anyways, I'll go ahead and post a video at some point. Maybe even this weekend. So if I'm out of the event and I got time, because I can edit everything on my phone, which is great. Last year I did it all year. Did all my edits on my phone. And so I can do another edit from YouTube while I'm out there if I can get some HD footage. So cool. Hopefully that'll happen. And we'll see the end result of this long journey of a 7-part series. So it's been cool. It's been fun. So I hit the music because my guys aren't here to help me fill in the dead air. It's been fun. I like doing these from time to time. I know Rotor does too. We like to share back, give you guys something other than nothing and just nonsense. So make sure we got it all good. Cool. Let's see. Moving forward, CFL starts Thursday and Sunday. So if you're in the area and you want to come on down, see all of us, please do. Sorrento, Florida. And if you want to do a day pass, I think you'd have to ask Zach. Otherwise, hopefully you guys that are watching in Chattacatha land are coming. Those of you who are coming, I can't wait to see you. Drive safe, fly safe. Let's have some fun. Next time you see my weird sunglasses and my GYSOT will be this weekend, hopefully. We'll see. Sound cool? All right, thanks, guys. Love you. I'm all here at the gang and the hangar. Till next time. See you soon. I'm out. Oh, smooches, Brian. You think I was going to get away with that? Later, folks.